So now that we've covered the components of the application, let's talk about ways to fund the education. It's the most common question we get here in the Education USA office is, I really want to go to America, but I just don't know how to fund it financially. What can you tell us about scholarship opportunities?
Sure, so that's going to vary school to school and what scholarships are available. I always describe scholarships in two different ways. They're either internal scholarships, which is what the university will provide the applicant, as well as external scholarships, which are third-party companies that provide scholarships for students to study in the United States. Mm-hmm. There are a ton of external scholarship companies out there that will provide a few $1,000s up to half tuition, some are even full tuition scholarships for students to study. And we have a website that is on our website that lists a series of these organizations as a great resource. And so with external scholarships, that takes time. Look and do your research. Some of them will require applications up to a year in advance with a very thorough process. With internal scholarships, it's asking the university that you're applying for and what scholarships are available. So there may be a different application process when it comes to applying for specific internal scholarships at a university, or it may automatically be considered at the point of admission. So for example, at Pepperdine, we have several full tuition scholarships that are available for students to apply, but they require a separate 2-page statement during the application process, so looking out for those specialized deadlines. In addition to that, we do partial scholarships that are considered at the point of application. So with these applicants, we look at their experience within the field, their particular interest in our particular program, if it's a good fit, as well as what they're hoping to do once they get out. Mm-hmm. And then we provide partial scholarships based on a number of different factors. So those can certainly vary school to school. So when it comes to looking at funding for university, I would make sure that the applicants are applying to a broad range of schools. Some students will automatically think of those expensive schools as unreachable, unattainable, but you'll be surprised. Many of those larger schools will actually provide more scholarship. So when you're applying to the maybe state-funded schools that maybe have a cheaper rate to the private schools, make sure you give yourself a spectrum of options, because you may be able to get into a cheaper school that provides no scholarship, or you can get to an expensive school that provides a half scholarship, which may be cheaper than that cheaper state school. So give yourself some options and apply to a variety of schools. I'm also a negotiation program, so I will tell applicants, if you have a series of schools that you've applied to and you get a scholarship offer from one school that really is a great offer, but you're deciding between going to a program that you don't quite want to go through or the dream school where you really want to go to but maybe they didn't offer as much money, don't be afraid to ask your dream school if they're willing to match the higher scholarship. Because two things can happen. The student can actually get denied and say, I'm sorry, we don't have additional funding. Okay, then they have a decision to make. Mm-hmm. Or the university can actually say, okay, we'll increase your scholarship by that $5,000 to match the other scholarship, and you got into your dream school with a dream scholarship. But that won't happen unless you ask the question. And every school is going to be completely different. Some schools have funding to be able to do it. Some schools don't. Once those scholarship decisions are made, that's it. Mm-hmm. And I would make sure that when you're doing that you approach it with the perspective of having the higher scholarship offer. Don't try to barter or negotiate with the school, because that's a different story.
Okay. That's fantastic advice. Thanks for that, Sarah. So now that we know about the funding opportunities, what was the actual classroom experience going to be like for these international students coming into America?
Well, that's going to vary school to school. Every program is different in regards to how the LLM students interact with the general student population. So for a number of LLM programs in the United States, the LLM students are getting access to courses normally offered for the Juris Doctorate or JD students. Mm-hmm. In that particular circumstance, it's going to be a larger classroom environment. Maybe there's 75, 80, 90 students per classroom, and you're going through, and it's going to be taught in the Socratic method. So in the United States, it's a very interactive format where students are required to do a heavy amount of reading prior to the class time. They will be in class, and the faculty member will call on students within that classroom environment. And so it's a very effective way of understanding the law and being able to create an environment where you can question why things are done a certain way and question the reason behind the law. And so most classes will have that Socratic method. Not all programs. There are some LLM programs that are much smaller. So at Pepperdine, we have our classes at 25 to 30 students, and it's very hands-on where you're going through lectures, discussions, but a number of simulated exercises where you learn your negotiation style. You learn how to mediate with real-life scenarios before actually getting to the clinic where it's real cases and real conflict. And so it's a lot more interactive. In the United States, we have a lot of open door policies where if you have questions outside of the classroom environment, you can certainly approach a faculty member during their office hours and actually have a conversation about what was going on in class, or and have a little bit an opportunity for deeper introspection.
Mm-hmm.
For deeper knowledge within that particular field. So it realistically depends on the program.
Okay. So once you actually complete your degree, what is the likelihood for an international student to find a job in America afterwards?
It's going to depend on what they're looking at doing. So if an international applicant is looking at working in a legal job in the United States, the best tool is to go through a program that has a good reputation within the field, that prepares students for the bar exam. So look at their bar passage rates, and look at what's going to be able to provide the best foundation to help them with that market. And again, I'm gonna mention it for international students coming in that want to work in the United States, and that's their end goal. The JD program is going to make them more competitive when it comes to getting a job within that particular job market, because they are starting out at the same base as other applicants coming in, with the unique skill set of having that international experience. Versus going in as an LLM, you're going to have the higher degree, but they won't know a lot of law firms don't know what to do with you because you're overqualified for their beginning positions. And so going in and going through either the JD program, a lot of programs now are having hybrid programs. So you are able to go through and do a LLM with a JD program, or do an accelerated 2-year JD versus the standard 3-year program where you go year round and you do the summers and you go through courses. So there's still ways to use some of these hybrid or joint programs to balance both fields, and get the expertise that an LLM would provide, but yet have the basic knowledge if you're looking at practicing in the United States. And I always recommend that applicants take the initiative. As you're going through an LLM program, the program is going to be what you make out of it. So if you go through an LLM program and you are checking the boxes and you're doing the minimum requirements and you earn that degree, that's not going to be as effective as going through and doing an LLM program where you're attending the lunchtime sessions. Many schools will have sessions where they bring in practitioners in the field to talk about a particular area. Join the clubs, do the lunchtime sessions, really take advantage of being within that LLM program. You don't know how many doors are open when you say, oh, I'm a student at XYZ University and I'd love to intern for your organization. And take advantage of those clinicals, the clinics, the externships, of gaining that practical experience. Because if you're thinking about your career proactively, you're aligning yourself with the right courses to open doors, to meet faculty that have networks within the field, you're using the clinical externships to gain that practical experience, then you're going to have a better potential in the job market than a student that's going through and just checking boxes. So it's all about the effort that the student puts into it.
That's so true. Thank you for that insight, Sarah. That wraps up our session for today, and we just want to extend another big thank you to Sarah Gonzales from Pepperdine University for sharing her knowledge with us about law degree program options in America. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and if you have any further questions about studying in America, please feel free to get in touch with us at Education USA. I'm based in Auckland, but we've got facilities in Wellington as well. We're always available via email at educationusanz@state.gov. Feel free to get in touch with us, and we're happy to help you out. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye.